So we talked about data manipulation language. We talked about select, and we said it allows us, to read data. You can read part or the whole data set. And we did some practice. And we say with select, it goes with from. You cannot select without telling us the table where you are selecting it from. And you can select all the columns in the table to the where the asterisk dates. You can select all the columns, or you can select part of the columns. And then we also talked about, from there we moved on to where clause. Say, while you can select all the rows in your table, you can choose to filter it. I don't want to select all. I want some column, some rows that satisfy a certain condition. And then we'll say, imagine this one that says, I want to get all the employees who were not hired on the 1st of January to the year 2000, and were able to do this. And this gave us this amazing result. And we also talked about why you can use where. You can also use you can use an operator called and or. So where and is, very restricted operator, or is open. And is much more difficult, much more easier to understand. And the or, whenever there is or, it becomes a bit complex to understand. However, or is open, either of these satisfy the condition, whereas and says in this and this, or this and this and that must satisfy the condition before we will say the condition is correct. So then we also moved on to some of the best practices. We say use and with conditions set on different columns. So we say we use and with condition when it is set on different columns, like we have higher date here and gender. This and first name, you can say higher date, gender, you can do it with and. But with or, the standard is do it with the same column. So, and you can see how we did it, first name and first name, just because we want to know, bring everyone that has that is either Pato or Aneke, and we're able to get that. And then we say, okay, so we also move on to talk about precedence. We talk about how you need to be able to use the concept of board mass to run your query. It works perfectly. It's actually the standard procedure that works in every programming language, and including Excel. It works everywhere. It works. It's a standard procedure, and it works. It works in almost anything that you have to do some calculation or query on. So we then talked about the in operator, and then I will say, what do we need to use in? So imagine when we use multiple or Pato, or Neka, or Utami, anything. If you have like multiple or, instead of repeating the first name thing, you use the in operator to reduce the amount of query you need to write. And it's also much more efficient. So the in operator will take all the conditions you gave and put them in a bracket and query against them. So, and then we say when it is not in is give us everything that is not included in that particular bracket, everything that is not included there, give it to us. And then we also talked about like, and with like, we began to go much more intermediate and start looking at the wildcard. So the main wildcard we looked at there was the percentage wildcard, which is actually, aside the star wildcard, the percentage wildcard is actually the most used and the most useful for us in our industry. And now with that, we continue with our query. We continue with our query and we want to talk about between. So you know when you want to talk about between, but now at this point, do you have any question? All right, I need response, guys, please.
No
Let's
question
talk.
from me.
No
No question.
question for now.
All right, so we are good. Now let's
Yeah.
move on. We want to talk about between. And you know how if you want to say something that is between you and another person, between goes with a word, another word called and. So between goes with another operator called and. You cannot say between without using and for it. So, and what do you want to use between for? Between helps you to designate the interval between a given value, that a given value belongs. And it's always used with and. Say, for instance, you want to know the people who are hired between a particular time. All we need to say, we say, give me all, select all from employee, from employees, because you also use it with where clause, where the higher dates between, so let's say between 1995 January 1st, or close it, and I'll still use the 1995 March. So sorry, June. Is that correct? Yeah, that should be correct. June 1st. All right, so here we are. And this is what we want. What we're going to get is all the persons that are hired between these two dates. So let's run it and see. Now here we are. It's telling us how many did it return? It returned 5,302 rows. And when you look at it here, you can see it's just within those days. So let's say I want to bring it down so as to be maybe January, maybe February, so that we have a smaller size number. Yes, Francisca, go ahead and ask. So we have 1,000 something rows. Yes, ask your question.
Will it include the start date and the end date?
Excellent. Yes. Yes, that's a very amazing question. So both values are included in between. So let's look for it. If there is any. This is second. Let's look for first. All right, that's first. It includes it. So yes, it includes the start date and end date. Are we good?
Yes, thank you.
You are welcome. Does anyone have any challenge with this? Because this is just straightforward. You can use it to do amazing things. And you can see how we're able to use it. So we can actually say, I want to just select a certain column that satisfies this. Mind you, while you're doing this, you don't need to, let me give you this. So I could say I want only the first name, and last name. And notice that I did not include did not include a higher date. You don't have to include a higher date when you're running this. But why do we always include a higher date? Just a proof of concept to prove that this is correct. you include a higher date to show that you actually have the right data. And if you're not asked to include a higher date, you can just use the higher dates. You can just include the higher dates, to validate your data. You use it to validate your data. When you're done, then you remove it and rerun it and print out your stuff. And that's how simple it is. So you don't necessarily need to put that column that you use on your where clause. You don't necessarily need to put it. Please take note of that. All right, so the other one is, so we'll pick up not between. So for not between, all I just need to do is to just put the not here. So everything that is not between this, so I'm gonna increase this to 12, to 31st of December, so that everything, we don't have to see anything 1995. So what happens there is, when we run it, for not between, these dates are not included. For between, the dates are included. Because if the dates are included or not between, then it will violate this other rule. So take note of that. So if I run it, so what I am saying, give me all the persons that are not hired in, I want all employees that are not hired in 1995. That's all I'm asking. And when you look at it, you see, we don't have 1995. Let me come. You will not see 1995 anywhere. And that's how amazing this thing is. All I needed to do was to just put a not between at the beginning here. And we are good. Any question?
None for me.
Person, any question?
I think I'm fine.
All right, so we are good. So let's look at no, it's not null. So let's say we want to select all the values that are not null. So we go. So it's not null is an operator. So we go select, mention the column. Let's say first name. First name from employee. All right, so you notice I've been using employees. You can also use another table to do what you want to do. Well, time will come, when we start doing aggregate function, we'll use salary table. So you can use any table depending on the problem you want to solve. Where first name is not null, like this. That's how it works. Your first name is not null. So what does this do? It will give us all the places where first name is not null. So you want to like return the values where first name is not null. And of course, we return here. And well, do we really have a place where first name is not null? Is null? I don't think so. So we can just decide to say where first name is null to know whether we have a null and a missing value in first name. That's the word. So you can see first name, there's nothing there. There's no missing value. That makes sense. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes. So what
Yes,
it means
yes, Mr.
is
Yes, someone is
Okay.
asking.
it's going to check if there is any column for first name that
Okay.
is empty. Is that
Any row that is empty, that is missing, we are anywhere. So it's just for any place where we have missing value. It's going to check for it and return it. Opposite it is not null. Give us where there is no missing value. Which most times that's what you'll be looking for. Okay, so someone wanted to ask question. Who was calling on the background? Go ahead.
Please, can you redo again? Can you redo again, please?
This
So,
one. So
yeah.
so imagine want to go and select. Okay, so let's say I put my closing stop here. Select all the first name. So this is going to give you all the first name.
Okay.
So imagine we have a place where a first name is not actually provided. We want to know if there's anybody who did not supply their first name. This is also a way to validate data, to find out missing value. So you can say, give us a first name of all the employee where give us any row that does not have employee first name. So it will go. And that's what we mean by it's null. So we'll query it and you notice that there is actually nothing there. So that means all employees supply their first name.
All right.
If you want to do the opposite, so that means if any employee did not submit their first name, please don't return it. You put is not null. It's not null, and then it will then return all employee and ignore anyone that did not bring their that don't have a first name. But everybody has a first name, actually. So is this clear?
yes?
Yes. Kingsley, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, please.
Does okay, now we've checked for now you said when it's not null. So can do I if I want to do okay, I've checked for is null and I want to do is not null. Do I have to rewrite from select first name from employees or can I just put it under it that okay, I've done for null, where is not null? Do you get what I mean?
Then just copy and paste.
No, as in okay.
Under the same code line. No.
No, I mean not putting the first two lines. Will it work? Not putting
So
select. Yeah.
like after the where first
So
name is
you're
not
asking
null,
Yes,
then the
if
next
we
one
yes,
can
will
do it
be
like
yes,
this.
where
yes.
first name is null.
Yeah. I don't think
Is that
so.
what you're asking?
Yes. Well, I don't think so.
No, it doesn't work. You can see it's even two way close.
Yeah. Okay.
So it will not work. It's even telling
Yeah.
you it's not
But
work.
yes, I've seen this. That's fine. I just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Yeah. But you know how they said it? In philosophy, a thing cannot be and not be the same time.
Okay.
So if it is not null, it cannot be null. If it is not null, then it cannot be null at the same time. Well, the thing cannot be and not be at the same time. So I cannot use is not null. And then I have another line of code to say is null for the same row, for the same column. It doesn't work that way. But I can do it
Okay.
for another column and say, no, I cannot go, I can't do it on another, I can just go the same way and say, and, or I can use or, maybe last name.
Okay.
Last name is null. Like we can do this, this one is allowed.
No, yeah. Not the same first name. Yeah.
So in other words, we we want to get everybody who well did not, who has a first name but does not have a last name. Now, there is nobody like that. There's nobody like that. Everyone has both. Now, I need you to understand that you see this thing, this or and, it's going to give you a lot of tough time trying to understand because it's logic. If you did mathematics those days, and if you also did law those days, mathematics students do logic. Logic is not a walk in the park. At a point, you will start doubting what you were even thinking. And meanwhile, it is true. So just take it that practicing over and over again, it's going to help you to get it right. And then you will be fine. Don't worry. You just need to practice. All right, so we also have we have mentioned all these operators. Remember, so this double line means, means
Comments.
Please.
Yeah.
So you remember how, okay, let me use a multi-line comment. So this is called multi-line comment. So if you want to write comments in multiple lines. So this is equal to less than it's important to remember them, greater than, less than, or equal to, greater than, or equal to, not equal to, I told you about it, not equal to, so these things you can use them, so effectively you can use them on numbers and dates and they will work well. Please, that's where I will use them. Of course, you can use equal to on strings, but you see, apart from that one, these ones, I will use them on numbers and dates. Please take note. That's where I will recommend you use them because that's where they are most efficient. All right, so activity time. Who is ready for activity? Aggregate functions. So you remember yesterday in Excel, we did something around max, mean, count, averages, sum. Those are called aggregate. They are called aggregate functions. And what does it mean? So what it essentially means is it gathers all data from all the rows you requested for and does an arithmetic operation on them, that maybe counting or adding or giving us, just does an arithmetic operation on them and returns a single value. That's what aggregate function does. Aggregate function returns a single value. And look at this salary. Salary, this is salary. Select all the table from the salary. Imagine I say, count all, count, just like we did yesterday. Count. So count is a function. Remember what I call it? Aggregate function. To know what a function is, you need to know that functions have brackets, just like yesterday. So count is a function, and you know it like this. They always have brackets. Inside the brackets, you will need to put the argument. So the argument is what will make the function run. The argument is what will make the function run. So every function, a function is just a code that does something, but you need to give it something. So most times what you're giving to it is a particular column. So what you're giving to an aggregate function is a column. Pay attention to that. For a count, so take for a count, for instance, if you have the names of everyone here, you can count everyone's name here. And then you give us the total number of everybody's name. But you cannot say the maximum name. You cannot say the minimum name. So we have some aggregate function, and of all the aggregate function, there's only one aggregate function that is used for both arithmetic or numeric and non-numeric operation. And that aggregate function is count. Count can be used to count numeric column and be used to count non-numeric column. And most times, if you want to know when they tell you number of people, total number of people, you use count. And if you want to use it on unique columns. Use it on unique columns. And most times, the one that is the primary key. Why am I saying that? You know a primary key cannot be null. So you use it on a column that is not null, so that you will be able to get the right number. Any number you get from the usage of it on a column that is not null is usually correct. It's usually the right data. So let us go on. So I want to count everything. Count all, that's what this means. I want to count everything. It's going to return just one value. And this is this. So it's telling us that the total number of rows, well, that's this time around counting everything, including null values or missing values. It's counting everything, and it's telling us it's 967,330. But to be able to do this, I would prefer, whenever I want to do count, I would prefer to go by a column. So let's pick a column, and that would be like employee salary. So employee number. So I would say count. And what is the column name? Employee number. And something like this. It's going to return just one value. And that's the employee number. Let's count. And that is the total number of employees, sorry. And that's still the same thing, 967,330. This is the total number of employees, and that's what count does essentially for us. So count apply, so I've already explained to you the arguments. I've already explained to you arguments. Now this is count, but you and I will agree that, the company does not have this number of employees, does it? Do you think the company has this number of employees? 967,990. Who does? Who has that kind of employee?
I think they have.
Eh? Why do you think they have that number? Peculiar?
Because employee number seems to be a unique key. It cannot be repeated. Like no
It cannot be repeated. Amazing. That is 100% correct. But I need someone to counter what she said. based on what we have learned, guys, time to think tank.
So I think the employee number is just like particular person's tag, like it's not the number of people that are employed.
Yeah, it's a particular person's tag. Yeah, she is correct. You are correct, and she is correct on that one. It cannot be repeated, and you're also saying the same thing.
And it
But
might not start from number one.
it doesn't need to start from number one. That is true.
So
But she
maybe
said it
that's one.
cannot be repeated here. So that actually this company has 900 and something thousand employees. Where would they get money to pay?
I think it's because we are counting the employees' number from salaries. We should be counting the employees table from the employees table.
Excellent. Just excellent answer. So we are counting it from salary, meaning, so you are in a company, you're added to a salary, you're added to the table of the salary with the employee number. After 1 year, they increase your salary. They're just going to add another one, another of your employee number, but another level of salary to you. So, but for us to know what is happening, to know how many employees that is there, we apply count these things. We did it yesterday. Count these things, employee number. And this is how to write it here. Can you see that the distinct is inside? It's inside a function. So let's go. And here we go. 101,000 employees. And does that make sense?
What if we choose the table where employee number is a primary key, like the employee table?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, let's try it.
Employee.
So instead of saying count
Employees,
listings,
isn't
we
it?
just count.
That's employees.
Yeah. Yes, like
Oh,
you need to
okay.
also remove the things.
What? What did you say?
I mean, yeah, you're doing. I mean, you're not going to include these things.
No, I'm not going to include these things.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go.
It's going to give a different
So
number.
this has 300,000. All right, so let's try this thing because it's not supposed to be, if it's a primary key here, then it's not supposed to make any difference. Yeah, so it is a primary key here. So what does that mean? So it means we have some employees here that do not appear, their salaries do not appear here. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe employees that are doing things for they are not being paid.
So we're checking from the wrong table.
For
like counting the number of employees, we are counting, instead of counting from salaries, we should count from employees table.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to know the number of employees that are on salary, you count from salary table. The number of employees in the company, you count from here, from the employee table. You can see there are two different problems you want to solve. Does that make sense?
No.
I want to know the number of employees that are on salary, paid employees. Where best should I go if not the salary table? Where, as long as I have employee number, and I will get it. But I want to get a number of employees.
Sorry, I still don't understand why it's returning the distinct. I mean, a different value from the employees on the table.
what he's trying to explain.
That's what I'm explaining.
Okay.
So the employee table, where we have all the employee, has more employees than has more distinct employees than the salary table. So I am explaining a scenario where this is the case. And that possible scenario is that this salary table contains the salary of employees. So apparently, this salary table contains only salaried employees that are receiving salary. Whereas this employee table contains all employees. And perhaps that is the reason the number of employees here on the employee table, it's more than the number of employees on salary table. Is this clear? That is one scenario. Please, I need response. Is it clear, Paula?
Yeah, for me, yes.
Yes, it's not clear.
It's not clear. It's not clear at all.
What is the problem?
The explanation is not clear. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
please just explain again from the salary
So we
and the
have,
employee, the number of the
Paula, you have a
employees.
company called Paula Enterprise. And your company employs people on pay on a full, your company has 10 employees. Out of those 10 employees, two of them are on interns, they don't receive salary.
Okay.
The other are receiving salary, and their salary is listed on another table called salary table. Whereas the entire employee's name, it's listed in another table called employee table. So when you go to employee table, when you go to employee table, you're going to get 10 persons who are receiving salary, who are employed into the company, into your company for land. When you go to your salary table, how many employees will you find?
8.
It's Fola here. I'm using his name, so I expect him to pay adequate attention.
I'm here. I'm here.
I need you to pay adequate attention because I'm using your name to explain.
There is somebody's background noise is distracting me. There. I don't know.
Nobody's background noise is disturbing me. Sorry. Nobody. My voice is actually louder than everybody's background noise.
There's no background.
So again, I'm going to repeat it. Fola, you have a company and you have 10 employees. And one of your workers decided to add these 10 employees in your employees table, in a table called employees. Out of these 10 employees, 2 are on intern, so they don't receive salary. The remaining who receive salary, one of the employees decided to put them on another table called salary table. So your employee table has 10 employees, which is all your employees. How many persons will be in your salary table?
That will be 8.
That will be 8. So that's what we're explaining here. So that this case, the scenario where we have unique employees in employee table being 300,000 could be, and then unique employee in a salary table being 100,000 could be a case of the other employees that are not in the salary table are not being paid salary.
So that's why the number is higher.
That's why the employee number is higher than the salary, the one in the salary table.
Okay.
Just like in your work, in your company, where those in your pay salary are less than those total number of people you employed. Is it clear?
Yeah. It's clear now.
Yeah, Fola needs to respond.
I've responded. I said it's clear.
Excellent. Okay. So now this is a case scenario. I just gave you a scenario where this can be possible to use it to drive this home. So the two most important things I want you to understand here is when I ran this code, it gave us all the employees, and that gave us 900,000, 967,000. Now, but when I ran the distinct code from the same table, the same column, it gave us just 101,000. Imagine the gap. That's because over time, people's salaries have changed, have increased. And when it increased, what you need to do is, what they do is they add another row for the new salary. They don't delete the previous one, so as to keep record of how this person's salary has increased over time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so that's the difference between distinct. So distinct employee returned unique, only no duplicate. Distinct to remove all the duplicates and return one person at a time and calculate all of them. To remove every duplicate and calculate only unique numbers and return them to us. That's what distinct does. Count distinct number or count unique numbers and return them to us. Please take note of that. That will come handy whenever you're doing your analysis. That will come handy. Let's take note. So what it means is to be on the safe side.
Yes,
You can
please say again.
I said it will come handy. So distinct gives you unique. So let's say I want to count the number of employees in my company. I don't need to worry about whether it's distinct. I don't need to worry about anything. I'll just go ahead and use count distinct. I'll go ahead and use count distinct. The reason is this. Whether if there is no duplicate, I don't have to worry. If I use distinct or I don't use distinct, it's still going to return the same answer. So why don't you stay on the safe side and use distinct? Does it make sense? Nobody is responding.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right, here we are, no distance. This employee number, but we believe that the employee number here is a primary key, so that there should be no distance, there should be no repetition. So I will run it. 300,024. Sorry, yeah, 300,024. Now I'm also putting distance, the same number. So whether there is or there is none, and you want to count the number of things there, just use distance. It's not going to make any difference. It's just going to return, it's just going to keep you on the safe side and return the accurate number. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. We have spent so much time on this, but I mean, it's important to understand. The other thing to understand there is that it returns only a number. It returns only a number. That's what aggregate function does. Now, I want to do something. Check here. This does not format well. It returns a number. It returns the name of the column as count distinct employee. That's not nice. So this brings us to aliases. So to use an alias, I'll say as, I'll give it a new name, total employee. So instead of using this count distinct employee, it will just pick this as a name, as a new name. Take note of that. It makes it more beautiful. Can you see that? It makes it more beautiful. Okay. So let's move on. By the side here, I'm going to go ahead and take the next Next aggregate function called sum. And you know what sum does? It just does arithmetic for us. And what do we want to do? So let's come here. This is salary. Let's take. So you're not going to do sum for, you're not going to do sum for the employee number. It's not going to work because it is not a number. So we do sum on salary for it to make sense. And I believe that's self-explanatory. So you can see how I don't want to go out. I just want to have it on the same select statement so that you know it is possible. So I want to select sum. So you can see how I am doing it. I'm doing it on the same select statement. So I'll select sum of the salary. There is nothing like distinct salary here. So I'm selecting sum of the salary as, I want to put it as salaries or employee salaries. Sum of salaries or total salary. You can call it total salary. I can call the other one count of salary, whatever you want. So, and then I'm going to run it. It's going to create a new column called total salary, and then you will see it. Okay, so it's telling me I have an error. So what is the problem?
There's
What is the
no
problem?
salaries in employees table.
There is no salaries, so it's only salary. So whenever you have an error, it's important you read it. Let me bring this up. So you see unknown column salaries in the field list. So read your error so that you'll be able to understand and debug it. Okay, so we move on again. And again, it's telling us there is a problem. Unknown column salary in field list. Oh, okay. So what is the problem?
You know, you're selecting from employees table. There's no column called
Oh,
salary in employees table.
thank you again. So it's salaries I'm working with. Thank you. And yeah, it is working. Okay. Oh, wow. This company has paid, it pays out so much money. Well, of course, you know there is duplicate anyway. Wow. This is how much this company pays out. Do you have any question with this on this? Because this one, it looks easy.
So if we want to just run the sum syntax, how do we write it? Do we say select sum salary from a particular table?
If you want to just run only sum,
Yes.
it's easy. You run it. Just remove this guy. Remove this guy and run it. It's gonna run for you.
Okay.
I want to continue with this. It makes it easier. Any question on this? Any question, guys? So we
I
are
want to
all
ask a
doing good.
question, please.
So we're all doing good. The
I want to
next,
ask a question, Kingsley.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the question I want to ask here is, for instance, now you're at work and you're asked to say, like, you finish running a query and you get this result. How do you now share it with the person that needs it? Because obviously you're not going to share the SQL code and all that. How do
Yes,
you now
so
extract this information that you give to
there
the
are
person?
several ways. If you're running this here, you can just come here, export. Can you
Okay.
click here? Or click it, export, CSV, save. You're good to go. So you can just name it, give it a name, and it will save as a CSV file. You open it in Excel and send it to them.
All right.
If you want to do further visualization, you can build it on Excel or move it to Power BI, or plug in your Power BI into this place and run it.
Okay.
Oh yes, we will get to that point. We'll get to the beautiful word of Power BI. Do we have any other question, guys?
No.
Okay, so I take it that we are good. Next one is maximum. So I want to get the maximum. It's just aggregate function is so beautiful. Of course, you know what maximum does. You want to give us maximum salary. I want to give it a nice name as maximum salary. Again, I will run it. It will give us a new row column. See? So the person with the maximum salary receives $150,220 or pounds or any money, any amount you name it. Easy? It doesn't get easier than this. It's just how it is. Any other method is much more easier. It's any other thing I do on this aggregate function is to make it more meaningful and more interesting. Is this clear, guys?
Yeah, it is.
So I'm going to allow you add average. Average is abbreviated as AVG. Do average for me. Copy this one. Add average and add minimum for me there. Make sure you name it nicely. I'm waiting. Go open your stuff and run it.
Minimum and average.
Yes, but you have to just include it on what I have done. By the side here, you include minimum and average. Minimum salary and average salary.
Okay, do you want to paste this one on the chat or should type answer?
No, type it out. So a lot of functions are there in W3 schools. W3 schools, it's just an amazing resources for you. Everything we are doing is there. You can always go there and copy and paste the function as long as you know how to use them. And it will show you how to use them. You already have foundation. So you can improve yourself improve your skills by going there or challenging yourself using HackerRank. Create an account with HackerRank and challenge yourself.
What did you call it?
HackerRank, don't worry, we'll talk about that later. So do you have any
What
questions?
is Akara?
Don't worry.
I never chop Akara since we are
Craving is not
communicating.
that.
I'm
I'm
saying
not
Akara here.
editing this video. I hope you know. I'm not editing this video. I don't have energy to edit it. I'm just uploading it that way. So that you would know. So are we good? Everybody, are we good?
Yes, yeah, good.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So now let's take this thing called aggregate function a little bit higher. Because right now it's just giving us this number. And to us, these numbers don't just make so much sense. It's just single number, what we call scalar. You know, those days in secondary school, if you did physics, they will tell you scalar and vector. So these are scalar. It does not have direction. It's not two-dimension. It's just one singular number. Let us make it make sense. Let's make it make sense. And that is where we introduce group by. That's where we introduce group by. And what does group by does? It's going to give us, all right, so let's see. First of all, let's go and find out. Select salaries. Let's go to the salary table again. Select all from salary. Let's be here and let's see what happens here. So we have salary, we have salary, employee salary, and okay, so can we try something? We want to say the top 5 paid employees. Let's see if we can do it. Top 5. This is comments, remember. Top 5 paid employees. So we're talking about what are we going to, which aggregate function do we use here? We can actually choose not to use any aggregate function. Okay, so let's use, yeah, that works. The top 5 paid employee, you know, we have a lot of repetition here, that this employee has so many different times the salary has increased. So what do you think we should use here? Which aggregate function do you think we should use to make sense of this?
Top.
There's no aggregate function called top.
Distinct. Is it distinct? No. What am I even saying?
No,
Max. Is it
we want to
max?
calculate salary, so you can't use count.
Max.
Okay, so max is supposed to return 1, the maximum. So max is supposed to return. All right, so let's try the max. Select. All right, so I don't like stressing my life. I like easy things. Easy life is good. So we're looking for max. That's max. So every other thing goes. So, but we want to get the employee number. Employee number. So we'll know the person. I hope you know. Otherwise, we won't be able to know the person. But this time around, we want to group by. So we want to group by the employee number. So let's see if this works. Group by employee number. I'm going to explain this to you. Okay. So let's run this first. So now it runs and it's grouping this by employee number, but it's giving us the max. So what happens here is it goes to each employee. Where is the other one? Let me run this one first. So I'll use it to explain to you. So do you notice how we have this? Notice how we have this employee, this same employee. Can you see how, so many, okay, this is where it stops. Only one employee has several salaries. And of course, at different dates, you can see. So what will happen is, when I say select, I'm going to run it again. I'm going to run the two of them. Why I'm going to run the two so that I will have another tab open under here. So I'll have another two tabs open under here so that I can toggle between them. Okay. I need another one. It did not give me another one. Why? Okay, I'll run this other one, and that will work. Yes, that will work. It's still running. Good. Excellent. So you notice this person has several different times the salary has changed over time. And from this date to this date, this is the change in salary. Now, what happens when we run select employee name number and employee and the salary? What happened? You notice I did not put this thing, maximum salary. Nobody reminded me.
I wanted to.
So let's go.
Maximum salary.
Let's run it again. Oh, exactly. So now all these things, since we said maximum salary, this code will go through this person's salary and pick the maximum one. Just pick one that is the maximum and return it here. And this person's maximum is 88. And if you want to go and check it, we can check it here. So 88. Here is it, 88. I can see no other one is up to 88.
Instead of doing this for it to list all, can we just say descending order or ascending order?
Yes.
So if we do this,
It's gonna still list all even if you use descending or ascending order.
so we'll put the limits to 5 since we are looking for.
We are getting there. So this is a class. This is not the main job. So this is a class. Let's take it gradually. Before my students will start shouting now, Fola will tell me his brain is battery is going down. So calm down.
Okay.
So we understand what happened here. So it will pick the highest and give it to us. It will go to each of this employee and pick only their highest and give to us. But what we want is the top 5 paid employees. That's what we say. Top 5 paid employees. So now, just like you said, is it Nnamdi or Valentine? That's Valentine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for saying that. So what we are going to do now is we want to order by. What do we want to order by? we want to order by the salary. We want to order by the maximum salary in descending order because we want the top 5. Understand the logic here. Descending order means from the highest to the lowest. So we want to order in descending order the top 5. So in descending order. That way, it's going to give us see, some people. Oh, sorry, I did not put. So by default, the way the order by works is if you don't specify the order, it's going to order it from the smallest to the biggest, which is ascending. So you need to state it. So we have ascending like this, and we have descending. So because I want it from the highest to the smallest, I'm going for descending. So this is the highest paid. Remember when we say the maximum salary. So this person is the highest paid. Now we have been able to get the highest paid coming to the top, but what we want is the first 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is where the limits. Can you remember the limit here? We can come here and say limits. If we want the first time, because we don't control the number here, we can go to the limit 10 and come back here. Limit 10, and then it will give us first 10. 10 most paid, you can see. But what we want is 5, and there is no 5 here. So you go and put the limits for yourself. Limit 5.
All right.
Here we go. And these are the top
Okay.
most paid person in the company. Notice the logic. We want the name. If you don't have this, you won't be able to group by, because you group by a categorical variable. Something that, categorical variable. And yeah, so you have the group by here, you have this categorical variable here, and you have it in group by.
Can this come in any order?
Yes, it can come in any order. I can bring the group by the employee number here. You mean the?
No, I mean the group by, order by, limit.
No, it can't come in any order. So that brings us to the order of running your query. So the order of running your query is simple. Please take note of this. Select So you select your column 1, column 2, depending on the number of columns. The next one is from table. The next is where. Please take note. Yeah, of course, conditions are satisfied. Where condition or conditions. After where clause, then you have the group by. Group by. So you group by a particular column. Or you can also group by columns. After group by, then we have the having. I've not taught you this, and that's the next one we're supposed to do. We have the having condition. So the having works like the having condition, like the where. After the having, we have the order by. So you order by column or columns. Then the last one is The last one is limit. This is the order. And you can't change it. If you want to use all of them, that's the order. If you want to use a few, it has to. So let's say you don't want to use this, but the other ones will still be in that order, just like we have here. Anyone you don't want to use, others will be in that order. So this is the order. Question?
And can you use the having more than once? Like you can use where?
We never used where more than once, did we? Like with and, with other operators?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, you can. It's a condition. It's a conditional statement. You can. So the question is, when do we use having? Use where? Now we are getting tired, or we are already tired. But do we have any question?
It's just to know when to use especially the group by and the other by and the having.
So you want to use group by? When do I use group by? You use group by when grouping according to specific field or fields. So you want to group by department, organization. You want to group by, you can even group by salary range, group by sex, by gender, can group by any categorical variable, any categorical, you can group by them. And that's when it makes sense. And the group by must be placed immediately after the where condition, if there is any one. And you can't just say group by without an aggregate function, because it doesn't make any sense. You're grouping by something. So it should always be with an aggregate function. So what happens is so this is what we have done. What if we can say, give to us, can you use this and give me the average salary of the top 10 or the top 5 employees, the top 5 earners. I want one group to give me the average salary of the top 5 earners. Another person to give me another group to give me the average salary of the least 5 earners. Can we do this?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
let's go ahead and do it.